All right, surprise, surprise. Woke up this morning to a half inch, an inch in the rain gauge, and it's after lunch now. Wind's been blowing, we have a little bit of intermittent sunshine. Unfortunately, we got a lot of crops pulling moisture out of the ground. And I do believe we might be the only planter in this area running today. Come on, Hercules. Lift with your legs. I thought you had a conversation with Todd about getting some light bags.
Those are very heavy.
Got another big seeded variety here. I don't think we're gonna fit 3 bags in these hoppers. All right, just to show you a difference in seed size. Like I said, these Pioneer bags were about 61 pounds a bag. These decal bags were 39 pounds a bag. Now each brand has approximately 80,000 kernels in it. Let me show you what it does for volume. All right, this hopper right here has got 3 full bags of the decal variety. This hopper here has a little less than 3 full bags of the Pioneer variety. You see, it's filled all the way up to the brim. So that's how much difference there can be in seed size. Now that doesn't mean that one of them is going to yield more. It all depends on the seed's shape and where it's pulled off of the cob. Whenever they're sorting seed at the factory, you know, they grade it according to shape and size. And this Pioneer looks like what they call large flats, and these have primarily come towards the base of the cob, not the very bottom of the cob, but the base of the cob where the kernels are larger and flatter, whereas it looks like these decal are looks like they're small, either small flats or small rounds, so they came from about the tip end of the cob. And then you also got large rounds which come from the very base of the cob. And like I said, at the factory they sort the seed according to shape and size. So just because this one's got a large seed doesn't necessarily mean it's going to yield more. It's just where it came off of the cob when they were sorting all this seed at the factory. Now on a lot of older planters, plate planters, seed size could make a very big difference in how accurate the planters were in metering the seed. With our precision planting meters with a vacuum, my planter's definitely not near as picky about the seed size or shape. However, if I had my preferences, I found the best accuracy coming from large round seed rather than the smaller round or the flat seed, just because of the way that it kind of fills all the hole in the plate. Theoretically, a larger seed is going to have more energy and could potentially come up out of the ground better under difficult conditions, but I've had to replant large seed before. I've had to replant small seed before, so like I said, I'm not real picky about my seed size, shape. You know, just they send me whatever, and you know, my planter does a good job with all of them. So we're loaded up with maximum seed. This should get us across about 110 acres before we've got to load up with our next variety. All right, I want to show you something here, how important hydraulic downforce is for us. You can see our previous pass right here. This is applied downforce on the row unit, and you see our previous pass right here, that was with our row units almost completely empty of seed, so no added weight on the seed. And then right here beside it is the pass we're making now with completely full hoppers with, you know, probably somewhere in the ballpark of 150 pounds of seed, which is adding in downforce. So the hydraulic downforce is compensating. You can see the scale right here where dark blue is actually lifting the row unit a little bit, and then purple is very little added down pressure. and then so on, whereas green is about 275 pounds of down pressure, and red is 550 pounds of down pressure. So you see, if we were just running a normal planter setup with springs, we could potentially be compacting the soil quite a bit by all of that weight forcing down on the row unit. So when we bought this planter, I've been a big fan of just about every precision planting thing that we put on there. We've got V-drive, which is electric drive, which I think is phenomenal. You know, we put vacuum on there. You know, we've got the Wave Vision seed tube sensors. We got DeltaForce, which is hydraulic downforce. And then we've also added furrow force, which is our closing system, and clean sweep. Plus we've also added some smart seed firmers on there too. The only thing that I don't think is worth the money and that I would not do again would be the smart firmers, just because the data that it's given us, I don't think it's accurate. But everything else, especially that hydraulic downforce, I mean, right now we're in wet conditions. It's planting great, but it is definitely heavy, and you really run the risk of really compacting your soil when you put a lot of weight onto wet ground. And this hydraulic downforce is able to compensate instantly to changing conditions, and only gives it enough downforce to keep about 50 pounds on our gauge wheels, which gives us 100% ground contact. So if and when I get another planter, a lot of this precision planting stuff that we got on this planter, if my new planter doesn't already have it on there, it will most definitely be added to it, because yeah, it's very expensive, but the amount of precision that it allows you to have and able to adapt to almost any different conditions, especially with our cover crops, it just really pays big dividends in doing a fantastic job at planting. Because I've read reports that about 2/3 of your yield is already set as soon as your planter leaves the field. So if you screw up any part of planting, you know, that's yield that you've lost that you will absolutely never get back and cannot make up. So having all these tools available to us, even though it can really be a headache from time to time, you know, with wiring harnesses, sensors, all that kind of stuff, just the kind of job we can do planting does make it all worthwhile and leads to a definitely greater profitability for us. All right, we planted a couple rounds, and like I told you, the seed size is so large on this, I want to check my depth, because if you think about the geometry of a seed trench, you know, you've got a V there. So a little bit larger seed's not going to fall as far down in the V as what a narrow seed is. So this larger seed might actually be getting planted shallower than what a smaller seed will, and we definitely don't want that, because if a corn seed is not planted the correct depth, about 2 inches, the roots, especially like the brace roots and stuff, won't develop normally, and the stalk won't be as strong.
Man, look how good that ground is, just crumbling right up right there. Beautiful. Little wetter than what I would like, but it's adequate. All right, yeah, there you see it. Oh yeah, that's definitely a little too shallow right there. That's about 1.5 inches deep. We definitely want it 2 inches deep. All right, there's number 2. Yeah, definitely. We definitely need to go down another notch.
Well, let's check our refuge row. It's got smaller seed in there.
Yeah, that's about my first knuckle there. Yeah, my refuge seed is good, but my
big 1464 seed is too shallow. All right, talking about our downforce earlier, I want to show you something else neat that we're seeing here. All right, this is our applied downforce map, and this is what I was showing you earlier. This is what I planted with very little seed in the hopper, and then we filled up, and you see it's not applying near as much downforce. We done gone across the field, and I want to show you something I noticed right here. All right, you see there's a very distinct mark right there to where this right in here was needing more downforce than what this is over here. Well, whenever I was spraying my burn down strips, we had a rain come up suddenly, and what I'd gotten done before the rain hit, we saw a steady decline going across the field in the activity of the Roundup on the cover crop. On the start of the field, the Roundup stunted the cover crop real good to where we could see the rows, but it did not kill it. And then what I sprayed about the last 30 minutes or so before the rain hit had virtually no activity on the cover crop. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. We saw some activity stunted cover crop, but as we moved across the field right here, we saw very little activity, and right there, that was the last pass where that yellow is. That was the last pass that I made before the rain hit. And then this pass right here is where I started back, a day later, when it was dry and we got back to running, and we had real good kill on our strips right here. Now, how is that really affecting downforce? You think about it, where I killed the strips good, the cover crop has had a chance to start decompose. All the roots and stuff are decomposed. There's less stuff we got to cut through, and what we do have to cut through is easier to cut through. But right here, where it was still growing, the planter requires a lot more downforce in order to be able to cut through all of that plant material, all those roots and everything else, and that's why we're seeing a lot more required downforce right there as opposed to right there. Now, I'm not saying that's going to have anything to do with yield or anything. I just thought it was neat on how adaptable this hydraulic downforce is, just depending on whatever type of conditions you face within the field, how it has the ability to self-adjust on the fly and adapt to just about anything you will see in the field, and how that can make a very big difference in your planting performance, but most importantly, the performance of this $300 per bag corn seed that we're putting in the ground. And then, of course, the other thing to think about is, yes, the cover crops adding organic matter to the soil, it does mellow the soil out. But when you're planting and you got all these thick roots that you've got to cut through, it does require added pressure. It doesn't mean the ground is hard or anything. It's just more stuff that disc opener has to slice through. And planting into cover crops can really stress your planter and its ability to plant at the correct depth. Some of these older planters that were maybe marginal for no-till, they just won't cut it planting into cover crops just because they're not heavy enough. The springs on them are not stout enough to be able to force the disc opener down to slice through all that stuff. And of course, the deeper you plant, the more down pressure it's going to take. It takes exponentially more down pressure to plant seed at 2 inches deep as opposed to, say, planting cotton at 3/4 of an inch deep or soybeans at 1 inch deep. It just requires so much more down pressure. So that's why it's critical if someone is just getting started into cover cropping. The most important thing is making sure that your planter is capable of doing that. And if you have an older planter, you might have to make some definite modifications to it in order to be able to plant into those types of conditions. All right, it's about 10:30. I reckon we're going to have to call it a day. I just lost one of the pins connecting my DeltaForce cylinders to the parallel arms, and I spent like the last 20 minutes looking for it out in there, and the way I can tell that I lost it in this area is look at my applied downforce map. So I was coming this way, and I got to my in row and turned around and backed up and then started going this way, and you see this solid red line where it was applying maximum downforce. It was doing that because it was missing the pin, and it was thinking that it needed to apply maximum downforce to get ground contact, but without the pin, of course, it's never going to do that. So it was doing fine right here because this right here is row number 7, and say it was applying downforce there, but not right there. So I lost it right here in this area. But considering it's night and got all that residue, and plus, I pulled up and then turned around and then planted back this way, so it like we got run over. That's a shame because we were about to get done with this farm, had like another 7 acres left. So as it was, we actually got started good planting around 2:30 or so. So in 8 hours we got 95 acres planted. Pretty easy when you got some big fields to work with. So we played pretty good catch up today. We're going to play a little bit more catch up tomorrow to make up for lost time, but I think we'll be able to do it. So I'll see you back out here tomorrow afternoon after church lets out. All right, we got out here after church, got our planter fixed, got the last 7-8 acres done on this Clanton farm. So we're gonna head on up into the city limits of Jackson, get started up there. We got about 80 acres that I would like to get done today. We're supposed to have rain coming in at some point tomorrow. So I reckon 80 acres is a pretty reasonable amount to try and get done this afternoon, especially considering 53 acres of it is in one field. So we ought to be able to make pretty quick work of that. Hopefully not be as late of night tonight as what it was last night, and that'll put us pretty dang close to getting done. About put us about 70 acres from being done planting corn. So we've been knocking them down pretty quickly. I'll tell you what, it sure don't take that paraquat long to work when it is warm outside and at least partly sunny. All that was sprayed less than 24 hours ago, and it's already halfway dead. Now, a big part of what's out there is annual ryegrass, and annual ryegrass is a big part of our cover crop program. And I know a lot of people don't even want to think about annual ryegrass because they think that you cannot kill it. Now granted, it is tough to kill, but the reason it's tough to kill is because it's got such a massive root system up under it, which I mean is what you want to help improve your soil, roots in the ground. Now we're not talking about Italian ryegrass, which can be resistant to Roundup. Annual ryegrass is different. Now the way we kill annual ryegrass is a 2-step process, and it has worked flawlessly for us going on 10 years now. Like I said, the reason it is so hard to kill is because it's got such a massive root system, and you've got to kill that root system in order for the plant to die. So where a lot of people make a mistake is they just go in with Roundup. You only have moderate success that way. Best way to kill it that we have found, we go in with paraquat. And what that does is that burns it flat back to the ground. It's not going to kill it, but it burns it flat back to the ground. But then the plant will start taking resources from its root system in order to put back out, which will then weaken the root system. So about 2.5 to 3 weeks later, just depending on the weather, then we'll come back in with a post-emerge application of Roundup and apply it then, and then because the root system is weakened, the Roundup will completely wipe out the annual ryegrass then. So if you're a cover cropper and you haven't experimented with annual ryegrass because you're kind of scared of it, that's exactly how you kill it. It has worked flawlessly for us every single time, so y'all give it a try next year. Well, we're over here on Taylor's, and if you remember from last year's soybean harvest, all of our double crop soybeans did absolutely fantastic except for one field, and it was this field. Those beans averaged like 30 bushels, and the big reason was I really had a poor stand. And then looking at this cover crop out here, I've got a really poor stand of cover crop. I mean, most of what you see out there is volunteer wheat. I mean, we don't even have very much annual ryegrass, which is small seeded and should come up easily. We got a fair amount of vetch out there, but hardly any cereal rye, no annual ryegrass. I haven't seen one single clover. And I don't know if we've suddenly got a problem that popped up on this farm or what, but last year's wheat crop, this field was the absolute best out of all of it, and by a decent margin. This field right here averaged like 100 bushels of wheat. I guess we're gonna find out if this corn crop don't do worth a darn. Something has happened in the last year that I need to figure out. And then looking at these clouds, rain not supposed to be in until like after noon tomorrow, but man, it's not looking too promising. Let's check the weather forecast and see what NOAA has to say.
This afternoon, partly sunny. Tonight, mostly cloudy. Showers likely with a chance of thunderstorms after midnight. Chance of rain 20%. Monday, a chance of thunderstorms. Showers, cooler with highs in the lower 70s. Chance of rain near 100%. Lows around 60.
Well, there you heard it, folks. They bumped up the rain chances to tonight instead of after lunch tomorrow. So, guess we're gonna have to pull another late nighter. I mean, I would think about working all night, but the last two bottoms that we've got really need the roller crimper, and I mean, we just don't have time to go get the roller crimper, get it out, go over it, and get it up here. But after I got done with Taylor and Porter Cable Hill, which was going to be about 80 acres, I got 20 more acres that I could go ahead and plant that's not going to need the crimper. So I guess I'll add it to the list. So just so we got another 20 acres planted under pretty much ideal conditions. You know, they're calling for several days of rain, like apparently starting sometime tonight. I don't think they're calling for tons and tons of rain, you know, half an inch to an inch, but I'd rather have this corn seed already in the ground. So we're just gonna work late and get her done. That is, if I don't have a breakdown. It is a Sunday after all. We all know what kind of luck I have on Sundays. All right, just had alarm go off. One of my units was empty. Yeah, we're definitely low. We still got the rest of that to plant. I tell you one real good thing about these Kinze planters and plant on wide rows is these interplant units. I can haul extra seed around. If I don't need it, just take it out and put it back on the trailer. All right, let's split this up among the hoppers and maybe that'll be enough to get done. All right, time to fill seed up again. And got showers moving up this way. Got a lot of expensive seed on the trailer, so let's get it in the hopper where it'll be safe. Do it. Got my helper out here today. He gonna help us load up a seed. All right, Link, open up all the tops there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend my other helper that's out here.
I just busted ass to literally move all this stuff, half of it in the truck because there's rain coming.
I think we'll be all right. All right, next variety, 6270. It really showed out big in plots last year. So I thought it, and it's not near outrageous prices, 68.35. Keeping 65.93 as our refuge once again.
Where's it going?
A bag and a half in each hopper. Refuge going in 4 and 8, and 62.70 going in all the rest.
So you want 2 in each hopper?
A bag and a half in each hopper. We're gonna have
one. A half of refuge, and it's going 4 and 8.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Andy just got done spreading all the fertilizer, and I figured we got a big problem. That buggy that we borrowed from Co-op the chart on the back of it, the rate chart, is way off, and we actually put out 25% less fertilizer than what I was intending. We were trying to apply 75 units of nitrogen using urea and ammonium sulfate, and according to my calculations, we only put out about 56 to 57 pounds of nitrogen, and that's kind of got me concerned.